Mazda CX-5 Skyactiv 2.0 model car. This car was brought to our garage by Boeing, because the problem with this car is no crank and no start, but the battery is good. After taking the car down from the towing, I will try to get inside the car and start the car engine. See that when the push start button is clicked and the ignition switch is in the on position, all the lights on the dashboard meter indicator are on. But when you press the brake pedal and click the push start button to start, all the dash indicators light off. No crank and no start. There is no problem with the car's battery. What is the cause of this car's problem? How to solve the problem, so watch the complete video step by step. Check with the scan computer to see if there are any fault codes. I would first check the engine code to see if there is a fault code. Now I will click on read fault code, then press enter. Number 1 code intake A camshaft position sensor actuator circuit. Number 2 code lost communication with the transmission module failure. So transmission control module connection problem. Click TCM to see if there is a fault code. See transmission control module, click link failure. See cannot check transmission gearbox fault. The transmission control module has a connection problem. Switch off the ignition and check the car's fuses and relays. In the engine compartment fuse box, locate the automatic transmission fuse. Look at the cover of the fuse box. This is the automatic transmission fuse. Now I will check this fuse. Check the fuse line from the battery of the automatic transmission fuse. The 12-volt connection is good. But there is no line coming out of the fuse. It means the fuse is broken. Now I will open this fuse and bring it out to show you. Automatic transmission fuse is broken. Automatic transmission fuse is broken. The problem is that the fuse broken as soon as the new fuse is put in. A few fuses are broken after doing this test. Mazda CX-5 automatic transaxle system diagram. Check the 12 supply volt yellow wire connection from the automatic transmission fuse to the transmission control module inside the gearbox. The cable connection is entered from the upper side of the gearbox. Open the connection socket of the cable with the automatic transmission control module inside the gearbox. I disconnected the cable socket. Now I will put a fuse and test it to see if the fuse is damaged or not. I installed a new fuse and will test it now. Now the input and output supply voltage lines of the fuse are okay. After opening the socket of the cable, the fuse does not broken anymore. The problem is a shorts connection inside the gearbox. Use a 10mm size Allen key to open the screw to remove the transmission fluid. To check the inside of the gearbox, the transmission fluid must first be opened and taken out. After opening the transmission fluid, remove all the 10mm size screws of the transmission oil pan. Open the oil pan and take it out. After opening the transmission oil pan, open the auto filter and open the transmission valve body. Now I will take out the transmission auto filter. What is the reason for the transmission control module being sorted? After opening the control module and testing it, I will show why this problem has occurred. After taking out the transmission auto filter, take out the transmission valve body. Now I will open the transmission valve body and take it out. After removing the transmission valve body, I will now open and test the transmission control module. Now I will open the transmission valve body and take it out. How do I test? By opening the transmission control module. Now I will test the transmission control module. I installed a new fuse to test the transmission control module. After installing the new fuse, I will now check with the test light to see if the input and output fuses have 12-volt lines. The input and output lines of this fuse are fine, no problem. Now I will connect the transmission control module to this wire socket, if this fuse is cut or not after connecting the transmission control module. When cut fuse means the transmission control module is shorted. I connected the transmission control module to the socket. I will test the fuse now. Now I will check the fuse with the test light. See if the fuse has a 12 volt input line. But the fuse has no output line. The fuse is broken, so I will open it and see. See, fuse is cutting after installing transmission control module. Disconnect the transmission control module cable from its socket. What causes a transmission control module short? The transmission control module is causing the short. See, automatic transmission fluid mixed with water. Water has entered the automatic transmission gearbox. Due to water entering the automatic transmission gearbox, the main cause of the transmission control module is shorted. Water is getting inside transmission gearbox. What is the cause of the problem? How can water get inside the gearbox? Leaks inside the transmission oil cooler are caused by water entering the automatic transmission gearbox. I replaced this old ATF oil cooler. I will be installing the new oil cooler. How many miles to change your car's ATF oil cooler? Remember, use an OEM ATF oil cooler, while an aftermarket oil cooler should last 50,000 miles. Use the original ATF oil cooler in the car, while the aftermarket oil cooler should last 100,000 miles. Now I installed the automatic transmission oil cooler to the gearbox body. After installing the ATF oil cooler well, I attached two water inlet hose pipes. While installing, make sure that the two O-rings inside the oil cooler are not damaged. Mazda CX-5 automatic transmission control module part No. EZ2121EM1H. When changing the TCM, be sure to match the part numbers. The part number is located right here. Now I will install this new TCM into the transmission valve body. Be careful when installing TCM. This gear lock of the TCM should be in the gear selector shaft of the transmission valve body like this. Be sure to check this after fitting the TCM. Plug in the TCM cable socket. TCM is properly installed with the valve body. Now I installed the screws. After that I tightened the screws with 10mm size hex Allen key. After completing the installation of the transmission control module, I will now attach the transmission valve body to the gearbox. Install the transmission valve body and then tighten all the screws so that no screws are loose. After installing the transmission valve body, check all the screws. After installing the transmission valve body, I installed the auto transmission filter and then installed the transmission oil pan. I installed the socket of the transmission valve body wire connection. I put the new automatic transmission fuse and check if the fuse broken or not. Checked with the test light, see the input and output signal of the fuse is okay. Now the fuse is not cutting. I opened the fuse and saw no problem. I will install the fuse again. Now I will install Mazda Genuine Transmission Fluid, ATFFZ. Check what fluid you will be installing in the Mazda CX-5 vehicle. ATF check level stick says fully, ATFFZ. After installing 6 to 7 liters of ATF oil, now I will install the check transmission fluid level gauge. Enter the car and clear the fault code with the scan computer. Keep the ignition switch on to clear the fault code. Mazda CX-5 will click to clear the fault code. Click powertrain system. Now I will click TCM. Now TCM fault code can be checked. Now I will click on read fault code to see if there is a fault code. Engine code cleared after changing TCM. Now the TCM has no fault codes. Now I will press the brake pedal and click the push start button to start the car engine. Inshallah, the car engine has started now, there is no problem. I changed the gear shift and it worked. Now go outside and check the transmission fluid level. Take out the transmission full level stick. Check that the ATF fluid level is correct. I attached the transmission filled level stick with a 10mm size screw. I will restart the engine and see if there is any problem. Now the Mazda CX-5 no crank no start problem is solved. Now there is no problem to drive the car. If you have trouble understanding anything after watching the video, please comment. Thank you very much for watching the full video.